Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to this very special episode with the President of the Cape Malay Choir Board. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi Nadeem, how are you?
I'm alhamdulillah, and yourself?
Alhamdulillah.
So Mustatas, we are in the comfortable lounge of you today with this very special episode. So this will just be a couple of questions regarding how it is to be the President of such a prestigious board. Today we'll be starting with a simple question. Can you briefly share the history and the significance of the Cape Malay Choir Board as it stands to date?
Well, we are currently busy with the research process. We do know that, firstly, there's nothing that has been documented. Like a few weeks ago, one of the ministers mentioned on stage at Athland Civic that he has found nothing there's no online presence of the Cape Malay Choir Board. So, like you guys are aware that we are in the process now of doing that research. We have involved a certain tertiary institution within Cape Town, and it is now evident that tertiary institution was pivotal in the establishment of this board in 1939. The first competition was held in 1940, and there was a certain choir, which is young men, so they are 1 year older than the board. They were established prior to the competition being actually established. They were established in 1938. And during that period, this is pre-apartheid, obviously with the reign of the British still. Our people were obviously also still scattered all over Cape Town and certain areas where the Malay people were staying in, which was the Bo-Kaap area, the District 6 area, the Claremont area, Wynberg, Cork Bay. Those areas, they were all also in the Constantia area. There were people that were singing these Malay songs, the Nederlandse liedjes, the Guma liedjes, and a person by the name of the late Edie du Plessis, Dr. Edie du Plessis, he became the life president of this organization, but he had very strong ties with the UCT, with the University of Cape Town, and together that was the reason why the board was established. But also at the same time, there has been a thorough research being done that Dr. Edie du Plessis himself, prior to apartheid, had strong ties with certain people within the Bo-Kaap area. And himself and those people came together, and the board was established, obviously, in the Bo-Kaap area. Later on moved down to District 6. But the whole idea of the board was what we have come to know now was to preserve the language of Afrikaans during the time of the British rule. Not obviously with the establishment being 9 years prior to apartheid coming into effect into South Africa, there was obviously a scare from a certain denomination in South Africa that Afrikaans was going to die as a language. Yeah. Afrikaans, obviously in 2025 now, will be celebrated as 100 years. But Afrikaans was spoken since the time of when the slaves arrived first here. And it was a language it was a mixed language. It was first known as a slave language. And later on, there was different types of Afrikaans that was established. And that spread throughout the actual country. So we have the Nama people now in the Northern Cape speaking a different dialect of Afrikaans. We have the Cape Malay Afrikaans being spoken. So the board itself played a pivotal role in preserving the language of Afrikaans, especially amongst our people of color. The term Cape Malay obviously came at that time where the people of color were split amongst across Cape Town. The northern suburbs, the southern suburbs, and obviously with the Bo-Kaap area and District 6. There is, some people are of the opinion now that we are reading up now, that the term Cape Malay was created by a certain person to split the people of color. And it could be a negative thing, but for us as an organization, it was a positive thing, because today, 85 years later, we are still known as the Cape Malay Choir Board, the current custodians of this music that's only found in Cape Town, a genre that's only sung here in Cape Town itself, in South Africa, on the African continent, but also throughout the world. You don't get this type of music being sung anywhere else in the world. And just as late as last year, when we invited the Consul General of the Netherlands to one of our competitions at the City Hall, they were amazed, and she was amazed that this type of music is existing, especially the Netherlands lied. And the Netherlands lied, the name the Netherlands lied, it's because of we only sing in Dutch. Yeah. And the type of Dutch that our choirs are competing in, it's obviously the authentic Dutch. Dutch, that's a language that is no longer being spoken itself in that original form currently in Netherlands. So the research is deep that we are embarking on, and obviously with the support of one of the subcommittees that we have just established, it's become a task now for the younger generation to dig deep into the establishment of the board, why, the what, the how, and what are we going to do about it now for another 85 years.
Okay, shukran for that information. So it's more about just the singing, it's more about just the songs. So speaking about keeping the tradition and everything, can you share some insights on the preparation process for competition and all performances?
So post-COVID, so prior to COVID, the board had quite a huge amount of choirs, up to 30 choirs. And when COVID unfortunately struck the world, everything came to a standstill. Yeah. Post-COVID, it has been extremely difficult for choirs to stand up, to rise. There has been a huge, now currently we've seen 3 years after COVID, now we see that choirs are actually standing up and they are rebuilding themselves. So there's a huge rebirth amongst choirs that was dormant for many, many years. There's certain challenges. Most choirs have the challenge of funds, of finance. A lot of things happened during COVID. A lot of people lost their income, lost their jobs, businesses closed down. So the supportive measures within the communities, within our communities itself, businesses cannot afford to be supporting certain choirs. Hence the reason why we as a board, when we took the new dispensation over, there's been a drive that we want to start rebuilding this board, getting 1 or 2 choirs every year together. From a preparation point, it's been a daunting task. Being the former treasurer of the board, the last two years prior to me becoming the president in January, I was a treasurer. So I knew exactly what the cost implications will be and what is the types of money that we would need to raise. And at the same time, just from an organization point, the figure being close to 2 million rand a year, besides the amount that choirs are actually spending. Yeah. And that is including the support that we're getting from local government and from provincial government. The little support that we get is assisting us. But it's from now, currently we are 4 weeks away from competition. We are on track. The only thing that the executive of the board needs to do is to put a competition, to plan a competition, to get a venue, to ensure that all the logistics are taken care of, road closures and all those type of things. And the other thing that we need to do is to organize an event for the New Year's Eve, the 31st of December. All those things are currently on track. It's now about getting the finances to secure service providers, and then we also have the choirs that is also having all the functions. So it's been a busy last two months down here in Cape Town. As executive members, we are going to choirs, we are attending their functions that they're giving, and everyone is trying to make money because choirs are spending between 250 to 400,000 rand per season. Currently, we've got 13 choirs that is competing this year. The aim is to get another 2 choirs so that we can have our competition for 2025, which is also already on, the plans are being done, the halls are booked and things. So planning happens a year or 2 years prior to a competition. So what people see when choirs sing, that is an end result of 2 years of hard work that the executive has put in.
Okay, shukran for that. What has been the most rewarding aspect of your role as president so far?
I think the rewarding was when within the first 2 months of my reign as president, we identified as an executive what is the main items that needs to be done. And one of the main items that we wanted to do was to secure venues. We didn't want a repeat of 2023, where venues weren't secured and dates were always changing. Choirs then withdrew. We had 3 choirs that left our board as well because of uncertainty and because of their own reasons. And that fear, I wanted to dust that off and get that done. So one of the biggest achievements was to announce our dates of competition within 2 months of my reign as president, and to also announce the dates of all meetings with a yearly calendar, and also then getting the show to actually start rolling. We then also went ahead with 2 successful events that we had, which was the Heritage Day Festival. It was first of its kind. And we also had a successful ladies' evening, which was also first of its kind. It showed that we trying to bring back what happened in the 70s and in the 80s. Going into the history books of the board itself, I read through the minutes of the 80s and what the then, when they had 60 choirs participating, and every choir was taking tickets for ice rink shows and all the things that used to be in at that time. So now it has been of going with the times, doing fundraisers or getting choirs to be supporting one another. That has been another highlight. What we've instilled and what we wanted was for choirs to be supporting one another. And it's walking every Saturday into a different facility, going to a certain choir's function, but then seeing 5 or 6 other choirs there supporting them. That has been one of the highlights for me personally as president, seeing the support amongst our choirs and the social cohesion, because that is what we want. We don't want this to be an organization that only functions at competition month. There needs to be a presence throughout the year. And at the end of the day, we are here for a common goal, and that is to ensure that our heritage and our culture is being kept alive.
Thank you for that. Shukran for that. So, what efforts are being made to attract younger participants to keep the tradition alive for the future generations?
Things like this, podcasts, things like one of the biggest achievements that one of the highlights for me is getting youth involved. The youth council, you guys are doing an amazing job, a sterling job, because I was now the other night I went with you and I saw what you guys are actually doing. Yes, it has been something that was it was born on this very couch where you sitting. I had the convener in one afternoon, and I told him I just had an idea, but I want him to run with it. But the amount of work that you guys are putting in, I can proudly say that has come off. Being the academy, every organization, if there's no youth, there's no future. And that is something that I identified many, many years ago within the organization. We had to go back using the youth theory. What is happening? There was no youth being inspired or wanting to take up roles on the Exco. I'm the youngest president, and I'm not that young. I lost all my hair. So being the youngest president, one needs to look at, so what is it that this organization needs? And putting the youth council in as one of the ad hoc bodies that we added, it wasn't constitution. We had to get that to be passed. Obviously, within the Exco, we needed the buy-in of the Exco, seeing what is it that we want to do. But any organization or any sport, if there's no academy in place, and you have nothing to feed from, so we saw it, and it was a hard sell. But I think it has paid off already. I mean, the first season of Koefiya Chronicles was amazing. Getting people the insights of various choirs and just the fresh ideas that the youth council is coming up with, the supporting role that the youth council is playing with at our 2 events that we had now. It was run by the youth council. It also gives the youth the purpose of being and knowing that the efforts, that whatever they're putting in, they can see the benefits immediately, but also that they've got responsibility. You're adding value. And if you give the youth that baton at an early stage, then people like you would become the next president. And I would want to be around to see that the presidents, I would probably have to be the maximum age entry from a president's point, because we have seen that, and with all due respect, having elderly presidents in any organization, the organization is probably going to be stagnant. There's no movement. But having young people in positions at an early age will ensure that there's a future. And without the youth, there's no future.
Shukran for that. So we've been pushing, as the Youth Council, we've been pushing, because like I say, the inspiration comes from the top, and we take it from here and we keep on pushing. And this is our 84th year anniversary of the Cape Malay Choir Board. How is this celebrated, and what can the people expect from this year's competition, from the president's perspective?
The 85th anniversary, I mean, 85 is just a number. It's special already because of what we have achieved, the milestones that we have reached. It's special because we've got a organization still after 85 years. I'll be honest with you, 2 years back, we thought this organization is going to be failing. Post-COVID, it was extremely difficult. We had 11 choirs, and then at the end of the day, we only had 9 choirs competing. Last year, we had 7 choirs competing in the finale. So there was a concern. I think the main thing, there was nothing planned special besides ensuring that we have a successful competition and ensuring that we have a grand finale that has been planned for Athlone Stadium on the 30th of November. We have a Silver Fez that is going to be competed for. The last time the Silver Fez was competed for was in 2019. I think Ottomans is the current, they were the last winners of the Silver Fez. So 5 years down the line, the board celebrated its 80th anniversary in 2019. Now we're on the 85th anniversary. It's just special for me that we've got a full-blown competition. We have so many choirs that is knocking on our door, wanting to either wanting to join or either wanting to stand up again. What is special is that we have our second eldest choir, Young Ideas, that was closed for many years. We have managed to get them. We went to go see the executive a few months ago. We've managed to get them back to be competing. So that is special. What's special also is we are now using technology, bringing technology into an 85-year-old organization to ensure that we can push certain aspects from a social media platform. We've got the Youth Council that is working on different projects, including doing our own ticketing for our competition, which is a first. We've got there's so many influences from outside that also wants to be part of this organization now. So there's maybe going to be a right of admissions policy that we're going to have to look at because there's so many things that's happening. We also got corporate sponsors now that is looking into us. We've got our I had a meeting with MEC Mackenzie now the other day, and they were astounded on how the government, the Western Cape government now can play a much bigger role for the Cape Malay Choir Board and for the people. Yeah. So the achievement is knocking on the right doors. We have been knocking. People are opening those doors. People are opening the doors for our choirs, for our ad hoc bodies, and for us as an organization.
Okay, shukran very, very, very much, Mr. Atas, for that a very inspiring interview, okay. A very informative interview. So don't forget to like and subscribe.